Uh-oh, I think I did it.
Oh, got it. Look at that. This meeting is being live streamed.
I don't know how I did it, but honestly, I don't know what I clicked on, but somehow
Right.
it did it.
Let me check. Let me check the YouTube to see if it's actually on there.
It should be. It says meeting is now live streaming live on YouTube. So there was one thing he didn't say I had to do here, which I did. I don't know why. But how you doing, Jim?
Hey, hi everybody.
Oh, got it. Ah, check it out.
Mhm.
It's there.
Honestly, I don't know what I clicked on, but
All right.
okay.
We got a whole 0 people watching.
That's
on
good.
On par with the planning commission meeting last night.
What did you have at the planning commission?
We met with our consultant to go over our survey to start working on the what do you call it?
Hey, hi everybody.
Oh, I gotta.
The master plan.
I guess I gotta mute YouTube, don't I?
Yeah.
There we go. That does it. Is that good?
Yep.
All right. I had it. All right. I think we're in good shape. Ed, I think Ed said he was joining. I think he's getting in another device. How are you, Laura?
Good, thank you. How are
Good.
you?
Good.
You know what I found myself, because we were in town hall yesterday.
Yeah.
I found myself, when we were talking about stuff or how do you think or how do you feel, I would do this thumbs up like I'm on Zoom. Like,
Yeah. Catherine said she'd join after. Oh, she did join us. Maybe she's finished dinner.
yeah, she's just not sharing her camera, she said.
Yeah. How you doing, Ed?
Hey, I'll be better if I can get this technology to work the right way.
Well, we had a little problem getting started too, but Kevin and I went for a briefing yesterday. I guess we figured it out because we got it up on YouTube finally. So, and we got the Zoom account working, so that's all good.
All right, looks like I'm here.
Yeah, you're there.
Looks like
I don't know about Lynn, but it's 20, almost 20 till, so I guess we can go ahead and get started.
Yeah.
I'm glad you could all join us tonight. Got a fairly big agenda. I don't know if we can get through all of it. Hope we can. You should have gotten minutes and several other attachments. I hope you had a chance to look at the minutes, and if there are no changes, if somebody wants to propose to adopt them.
All right, I motion that we adopt the minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, good. So on the agenda, I sent you by email. There are a number of items I wanted to cover, and if you guys have anything, obviously add it as we go along, or certainly chime in. On the follow-up activities from the breakfast and related to that, I wanted to give you some background on some things that have happened that I'm aware of, and if you have anything, that's good too. The letter to the superintendent, I've got several BOE members. All they did is acknowledging, but that's important because it means they got it. It doesn't mean they necessarily read it, but I assume they did since they acknowledged it and said thanks for sending it. That was 4. I think I got 4 out of 9 BOE members responded. I also shared with Andrew the letter as well, just so he's aware of what we're doing. He sent a really nice note back just saying keep pushing, keep your efforts going. So that was good. We also sent to Andrew a little background on some of the issues we've been pushing, like the idea for a what's called a program of resources for the community center. I think I sent you guys a note about what a POR is, and his staff person said they're going to follow up with both Seth Adams and also with Greg Assant. Greg Assant is the guy in the county who deals with planning and helps put together the PORs. And I think I sent you guys a copy of the existing budget, the FY22 budget for projects that are on the list for getting a program of requirements set up for them. And that means, it doesn't mean they get funded, but if they get up from just being entitled to actually getting a POR done, 2 things happen. One is that the county actually actively goes out and talks to people in the community. They actively look at sites. They actively look at what a community center might look like for a community that's involved in that particular case. And the good thing about that is there's a report that comes out of that. And one of the things that can help for us in our efforts that's really helpful is that we finally will have something then we can show to people saying, here's what a community center from what our county planners, and they would work with us obviously on it too, what they think would look like. So we can finally respond to the question you always get is, what size are you talking about? You know, are we talking about a big one or a small one? Where would it be located? All those kinds of things. So, so Mary Gies, who's Andrew's staff person, said they were going to follow up both with Adam at the MCPS, who's the guy in charge, as you know, from the board meeting the other night, of the planning and finance aspects of putting together projects. Follow up with him about what he meant when he said, he talked about the gym and also talked about the two-phase approach for the school. I think you guys saw my email, but a lot of you, I think, are actually on the BOE YouTube effort. So you probably already saw that. But I think that's all good because it really helps when Seth knows that Andrew and the council members are interested in it. So those are all the things I can think of since we had the breakfast. Does anybody else have any other points or things that we need to follow up on or ideas?
Just one thing about our planning commission. We mentioned yesterday how we need to incorporate stuff like the wellness center, community center and stuff into our master plan. As the master plan is going to have a different focus than it did last time. Last time we had a focus about more of how to grow. Well, we're going to reach our limit pretty soon, right?
Right.
Before our 10-year plan is up. So we need to incorporate into the plan amenities we need to get in the town. And so by having that in the master plan, that'll help us as well.
Yeah, that's a great idea. That's a good, really good initiative. On that point, Ed, I don't know if you had any thoughts about, that's one issue that I thought was interesting. They did raise quite a bit in the board meeting, was the issue of student mental health. The wellness center issue itself did not come up, but the idea of more resources for mental health did. Now that was positive.
Yeah, I thought that was positive, but I also think that with Ms. Wolf, when she talked about looking for the mental health services that expand beyond just the local schools here, but to hit Monocacy as well, you know, and I think just for as a fair access committee that goes beyond just Poolsville, I think that piece is really important. One of the things I think we could follow up on, well, I think it's a step in the right direction to have Jessa to be a service provider, but I think there are other mental health service providers, and being able to have a location beyond just the school. So if we take, let me step back a second. It's great to be able to bring someone out to the school, but schools have limited space as well. And so if you think about just where would a person go, do you have to use a counselor's, another school counselor's office? Do you have to use a conference room? And so now you're taking it, so you bring in an outside resource, and this is really setting the stage for the argument of why you would need a wellness center or something like in that capacity. And then you could have mental health services that hit the bookends, the youth as well as the elderly who might benefit from those types of services.
That's a good point. Also, Ed, on that same point, I forgot the woman's name, but the woman who was, I guess, in charge of putting the contract together and all that for the Jessa, she actually specifically said one of the reasons they're doing this in part is because of the lack of, they know there's a lack of services in our area.
Michelle Palmer.
Yeah, I thought that was very positive that at least they acknowledge now that we don't, and that's the point we've been making all along. So
yes, that's what I was gonna mention here, was hearing that that positivity from her and having them understand and acknowledge the need. It's definitely a step in the right direction.
Right, but it by no means is it the solution. I think, you know, but
No.
I applaud them for having a step in the right direction.
And on the point you raised about Monocacy, is there anything we need to do as a fair access committee to help with that, or should we just coordinate with MES or what?
Well, I think that and maybe this might come from the PTAs as a follow-up from the meeting the other night.
Right.
And that is a very soft, approach, but it's very intentional. And that is, well, are there other vendors besides Jessa? Maybe there's some therapists who might be willing to provide some service to Monocacy. Well, because what they were saying was Poolsville, and they said Monocacy is even further out. And I saw someone said, well, it's only 15 more minutes than where we are now. But I think about some of the other people who provide mental health services who might be able to say, well, if they work, whatever deal they work out for Jessa to come up, maybe they can have a similar deal for someone who might be a little closer. Maybe someone who's coming from Darnestown versus coming from Rockville, or maybe someone's coming from Germantown, or there might be some private therapists here in Poolsville who might say, hey, I could come up and do something at Monocacy. And maybe and you got to be delicate in how it's done, but I might say, in addition to Jessa, are there any other folks, agencies that the county, Montgomery County could partner with? So I think maybe even talking to our friends at UPN, looking at if they have any networks or recommendations, because they could be a part of that conversation to help bring about good solutions.
Maria, I don't know I know David pretty well at the high school, but I don't know the PTA president at the MES. Surprisingly, because I have grandkids there, but I haven't been up, because we've been had COVID. It's been kind of hard. Could you follow up with her on that just to see if there's anything we could do to help from our committee standpoint?
Yeah.
Thanks. All right. That was good. Thanks a lot, Ed, for that.
Yeah.
I think I'll let Jim talk to this next point. One of the nice things that came out of the, just shows you what happens when you put these kind of meetings together. When we put the breakfast together, I got several people sending apologies saying they wish they could have come. One of them was Gabe Albernaz, and he gave a nice overview of, he had some commitments with soccer coaching and stuff, but he said he really wanted to keep on top of what's going on in our area. So I sent him a pretty lengthy note just saying, here's the issues that we discussed at the meeting. And I also sent him the slides. And he asked if he could have a meeting. So Jim and I had a conversation with him, and I think it was a very productive one. And maybe Jim, you can outline what happened.
First of all, it was the best part about it is that, and one thing that I guess anybody that's worked with Gabe, and I'm sure everybody here has met him at one point or another, had good conversations with him, is that he stays engaged. That's number one. He's not in a big hurry to tell you his side of the story either. And he listened to what Link and I had to say, talking kind of a wrap up of all of our various fair access initiatives, including talking about White's Ferry. But one of the best parts of it was that his brain starts working, and he starts thinking about ways that he can inject himself and his influence into and create like synergies between what they do and what we need. And so he started working on proposing, he liked the idea of doing basically a health summit that is going to be very similar, that we want to do, that we need to, iron out, obviously, and talk about, but a health summit for the Up County that's going to be very similar to the White's Ferry Summit, only it would be pretty much headlined by, for a start, it would be headlined by the at-large council members. Of course, Andrew, we'd want him to be involved. And then also some of the health advocates and some of the folks that are involved with Montgomery County Health, including what will be the new chief health officer. So it just that, we didn't round our way into that conversation, but he kind of picked up on it and offered. And of course, Link and I ran with it. And then we had much more discussions about health providers, how it could work, how telemedicine could work in Poolsville, or assisted telemedicine. But it was a great conversation, and we hit on a lot. Of course, we tried to nail him down on like the bubble for the pool and all the other stuff that we normally do, but it was still.
And he was pretty, he liked the idea. He just said this, he talked about the money. He knows how much it costs. So, but he didn't say it was a bad idea. He said it's actually a very good idea. So. Yeah,
he's the former, you guys know, he's former Department of Recreation head. And so he definitely has his hands on kind of the purse strings and knows how this works. And I think Link, unless I'm mistaken, I still kind of picture him as being the council member that is most tied in through recreation, community centers, et cetera.
Right.
I think he's probably out of all of them, like in terms of an at-large person, he kind of is able to bring it all in. Like he still was working for the county in the way that he was. I mean, he still very, very much knows how Kingsview / Germantown Community Center works. He's intimate with how the rooms are used. We were able to talk to him a little bit about how we could picture a community center being right-sized for our area. So he might end up being our biggest advocate, especially if we end up, we lose Friedson like we think we may, and then we're gonna need somebody that's going to fight for us. It's definitely going to be potentially the leader of the at-large council members.
He specifically on that point, Jim, about the community center mentioned that to get a POR, you need around $200,000. And I'm not going to say he promised, but it sounded like he was willing to pitch an amendment for at least $100,000. And then he thinks there's enough money that they've got in their own budget to be able to get a POR off the ground, which would be a huge step forward.
And he
So-
recognizes the need too. I
Right.
think I think that would be, if we had to talk about anything beyond the school, I think that would be his number one. And he recognizes the PORs, essentially a requirement.
I don't know if any of you are familiar with this. I was not, but he mentioned specifically as a model for Poolesville, the Scotland Community Center, which is in the Potomac area, but it's up in a rural part of Potomac. And I looked it up, didn't know anything about it. It's actually called the Betty Mariah Community Center. It's named for an African-American leader. And Scotland was a formerly African-American community. I think there's still some elements of it that are there, but
It's an interesting place. I've been there a few times.
have you?
And so if you think about, I don't know are you familiar with Tobytown?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So Scotland is very similar to Tobytown. And so but Scotland has that community center right there in the midst, and that Scotland community feeds right into Churchill High School. When I worked as assistant principal at Churchill, I was spend a lot of time over at Scotland. But it's neat because they would have a lot of great programs, and definitely a smaller community than Poolesville, but they had that center location where they would run some after school programs for kids, some events in the evening for parents. And so I know that over the last several years, they had rebuilt the facility, but it's definitely even worth just jumping in the car. Maybe we could set something up to go take a tour and just look at how that community center might have benefited members of that community. And when we talk about retrofitting or just scalability, the concept that was used at the Scotland community, that's something that probably could be used in the Poolesville community or the western part of Montgomery community.
That was his view. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
And if you have contacts there, if you want to try to set something up, I would love to have Gabe come too. I think he would love to
I
be
was
there.
even thinking, listening to what Jim was saying, I think maybe if we asked Gabe,
Yeah.
if Gabe would set something up, so
Yeah.
because giving Gabe and Andrew, because it's in Andrew's district, perhaps if Gabe and Andrew could just set up a tour,
That'd be great.
a tour for us to go and talk to some of the community leaders, and how is that beneficial for them at that community?
That's a great
Yeah,
idea.
I would make you bet that they would be able to come up, the Scotland community, as Ed is, I'm sure and everybody that kind of follows it, that's something that the county owed those people over there. And the fact that they came through like they did, and also worked hard to set up programs, and I'm sure it's still not enough, but that does have a lot of, it's hard to say it's parallels between us and Scotland, but in some ways there are parallels.
Yeah, and I think, Jim, the parallels is that it's being able to have a facility that can provide a safe place where you can have a variety of programs.
Yeah, good call.
Especially for our youth and for our seniors, because during the day, even a place where people, seniors could get together and just play pinochle or whatever they want to do, or being able to have speakers come in. And as the world gets a little safer and we don't have to always do things by Zoom, there will be a time where we could sit down in front of one another and do some things. And so I think that there's some great parallels, because you look at even right here, if we wanted to do a program for youth, we would have to rent some space from a school.
Right.
Or we
Yep.
have to depend on some of our church partners. But the county should have a footprint beyond the school and the local churches, where just like you go into, there's a Bauer Recreation Center in Rockville, they have a facility. So there's so many of these facilities. All right, now I'm preaching, but it fits. I think it does fit.
That's great. Okay, we'll take that. That's a great idea. We'll follow up with Gabe on that. And I think it would be great to have Andrew there too. I'm sure he'd want to come. So that's great. Good ideas. Anyway, I think both of those are positive, and in a way, I think we have balls rolling to some extent on both the telehealth initiative and on the community center. There's nothing specific in terms of anything yet happening, but I think both of these going forward are going to help to put a spotlight on it at a minimum, and that could be really helpful. All right. One other thing I wanted to follow in that segment I wanted to talk about a little bit was whether after the, and Maria and Kevin, you may want to chime in on this too, especially, would it be useful to do a muster campaign after the Board of Education meeting, just reinforcing the importance of the gym?
Well, yeah. Oh, Maria, you're on mute.
Sorry. I mean, I think so. I think the more push we have to the Board of Education, you're talking about, right? Follow
Yeah,
up.
absolutely.
I
Yeah.
think so.
The
Because
only
I
thing,
do think, I mean, they didn't speak much, and I know Seth was there doing most of the speaking, and I picked up that, you know, there's potential that it could happen.
Yeah.
Further down the construction plan, since it's going to be the last piece. So I think that we should keep pushing.
yeah, I thought it might be good just to kind of show them that not only it was the public listening, but they are personally interested in this, and having emails come into them saying, hey, I heard the Board of Education talked about this. There's a possibility something could happen. We really think it's important that it goes forward. You know, just something very short and sweet like that.
Mhm.
So obviously I'll work with David on it. That's what I did when I put together the letter, but just to make sure he's comfortable with it. But all right. So I think we'll plan to do that sometime in the next couple of weeks. All right. So I just wanted to touch, if there's nothing further on those items, I wanted to go forward on talk a little bit about the budget process. The county executive is having a series of listening sessions. He's having some now on the operating budget. We could participate in those maybe on one level, which is on the telehealth and the health issues a little bit, because a lot of that is programming money, not necessarily CIP money. But I think the CIP is probably the more important place where we need to be active. And the next CIP listening session is actually at Black Rock Community Center on the 18th at 7:00. It will be both hybrid. It will be hybrid. So it'll be both Zoomed, and also people will be there live. Most of you weren't, Jim was obviously there and Kevin was, but most of you weren't on the committee when we started. And one of the first things we did, and this was right around the time when the elections were going on, was actually go to every meeting we could and hold up a fair access committee sign, usually trying to ask a question. And I think I got a note from Greg Wims, and he said, if you guys want to get your POR and reinforce the need to keep money in or put money in for the school, for the gym especially, you need to go to the CIP meeting and make sure you raise your hand and have your sign so the county executive can see you and respond. So I'm planning to go. I don't know, Jim, if you or anybody else is, but I certainly will help take my sign with me, but I wanted to make sure you're aware of that in case you either want to go in on Zoom or go that night.
What's the date again?
You said?
It's the 18th of October,
Okay.
and it's 7:00 at Black Rock Community Center.
It's this Monday, which we have a commissioners meeting, but I'll let you know what I'm doing.
Oh,
Yeah.
it is this Monday. Okay.
Maybe I can miss.
Yeah, I might not be able to go either now that I think about it because I have to
Yeah.
cover the town. So maybe I'll have to ask Randy to do it.
Yeah.
Anything on the agenda that's
important.
important.
Well, yeah,
Ed,
there's some,
you can-
there are some other ones also.
Yeah, we could do it in another one. That's true. But let's keep that on the agenda though. And I think we should go to at least one of them and make sure that they see us and we ask the question.
Okay, I think
Absolutely.
I was reading the other one. Is it the other one in Silver Spring or Rockville? Where's the other one?
I think there are 5 of them altogether. At least that's what he had last year. So there's probably a
Okay.
couple more after this.
Yeah, they spread them out all over the place. I think one's at Paint Branch. They're everywhere.
Mm.
But this is ours. That's one of the differences.
Mhm.
Is anybody else available that night? If Jim and I or Ed certainly can't go, but it really is not that hard. I mean, literally, if you raise your hand, normally you get a chance to ask the question. And we had a sign. I've got these fair access signs, and he remembers them because during the
what would be
debates we were
nice-
there and all that stuff. So
What would be nice is showing up, but a few different people show up at different ones that continue to hammer in the message
yeah,
and have the visibility.
I plan on going to every one if I can. That made a big difference. They saw us every single time.
right. All right. Well, let me know if any of you can attend because I have the signs and I'd be happy to give you one if you can go.
I don't know
And-
if I can attend in person, but if there's a Zoom option, I can join in.
I'm pretty sure it's hybrid. So yes, and they do take questions from the audience. So if you can do it that way, that'd be great too.
Yeah.
Okay, great. After the CIP listening sessions are over, I think it would be a good idea to do a follow-up letter to Mark. And this is going to be sometime probably in the early November timeframe about the budget that he's putting together. And obviously, again, we'd focus on the community center and probably just the idea of making sure that a POR gets launched for the community center. Obviously, we talk about getting funding, but I don't think that would be likely this year, although maybe it would be. He said when he was at the breakfast, and he may have talked to you guys about this too, and he said it publicly that there's more money this year than they expected. And I think he was actually dropping a hint that maybe you want to push. So maybe we should, but I think a letter would be good to just memorialize again sometime in early November as they put their budget together, the community center issue. I think the wellness center too, we should mention that because he's mentioned mental health more than once as an issue that he's concerned about. And the third thing would be the gym, just to make sure there's funding in there for that. So I'll put together something on that, but I wanted to let you know that I think that's a good idea unless you guys disagree, but I think it's important because one thing we have found now is that if we wait until there's actually a hearing and then make your comments, it's kind of late in the process. And a lot of other people are speaking at the same time. If you do it before that and send your letter in early as a committee, the departments are fighting about the budget, you got a much better chance of getting some traction. So, and then finally, the BOE is going to have their budget hearings in November. We participated the last 2 times. I think we probably should again this year, but I'll check with David. And Maria, you want to check to the other, I don't know if the other PTA presidents are planning to speak or not at the board hearings or not, but we certainly helped in the past reinforce the issues that the PTAs were pushing. So I think we should try to do that again.
I believe that some are.
Okay. I would think David, knowing how active he is, he probably would, at least he would do it. So.
And the middle school president as well, I believe, but I'll double check.
Okay, that'd be great to know that, because I'd want to make sure we coordinate whatever we say with them, obviously. But just a random thought, I put it on the agenda, but it struck me that a nice thing to do might be to do a holiday greeting card to BOE members, to the council members, to not only the county executive, but frankly, the county executive candidates as well.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I think it's not hard to do, and we need to get addresses, obviously, but I think that would be useful to do.
Now, Lake, I'm going to push you a little bit. And when we think of a holiday card, let's not just think of the winter holiday, but even something around Thanksgiving. Before
Okay.
all the holiday cards start rolling in.
Oh, you mean get it to them around Thanksgiving time?
Around
That's
Thanksgiving,
brilliant.
right?
Okay.
A gratitude, thinking of you, helping you think of us, kind of happy Thanksgiving.
Okay, that's a good thought.
Yeah, because those cards just come rolling in December,
Yeah.
and it
Good
might
thought.
So
Just toss.
And probably, getting something prior to the Thanksgiving week would be a good time to do that. Let's be, it's like being first to the market. Let's be first to give
Yep.
a card.
All
We are
right.
thankful for your help, support, service to the community, blah, blah, blah.
And if we turn it up one more notch, Link, if for some of those folks who were at the breakfast, you could take the picture, that big group picture,
Oh, yeah.
and that, because that's one they might not throw away. So if you have that picture and
Right.
you just duplicate that with something in the middle, whatever the verbiage is, it's something that they can stand because they're in the picture.
Right.
Thankful for all these great friends of the Up County.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
great. That's a great idea.
Thank you for coming to the breakfast, and for those who weren't able to make it, blah, blah, blah. We look forward to blah, blah, blah.
Good thoughts. All right. I'll work on it.
Let me know if you need help with the card picturing piece too.
You mean in terms of what, in terms of getting a picture, or you mean in terms of what, where ought to be? Or,
It got kind of, it's real simple. It's kind of like how everybody snags the best picture they have of their family, stick it in a card,
yeah.
and duplicate it. Same thing.
Yeah. I know Laura took a whole bunch of pictures, so I'm sure I know they took a group picture, several of them. So,
Yeah, I'm sure, Laura, you could probably find the best looking picture to put on that card.
okay. Good idea. All right. I'm taking notes here. One thing I didn't have in here, and moving from the holiday gift card idea, was the Redistricting Commission. I don't know, Maria, if you had a chance to watch the latest commission meeting.
Not to interrupt, but I just sent everybody an email that came out from Carrie about an hour ago, asking for some sort of opinion, and that it didn't go to the Fair Access Committee. She circulated amongst the commissioners, and I've pushed it to everybody on this committee so you can eyeball it.
Opinion on what?
You'll see it's like some emergency had to have an opinion. People need to respond.
Hmm.
You got to
Okay.
look at it.
All right. I got the reason I ask Maria is that I got a call or email or PM, I'm sorry, from Jason Maxstein, this one commissioner who's been pushing us to try to file our maps and so forth. And he asked me to watch it. So I did watch it today. They actually have come up with 3 different maps now. There's no official committee map yet, but there are 3 different maps that have been done by different committee members. To some degree, in terms of the district that we're in, they look somewhat the same, but the third one actually includes a lot more of what I would call Potomac and more down south. So I'm not sure that's really a good one. In fact, one of the committee members mentioned that and said he thought it wasn't a good fit for the Western County. But more importantly, I think one of the things that got discussed a lot was, especially, and I don't know if anybody knows her, but I've heard her name, Valerie Irvin, and
Oh,
she spent a lot. I'm not paraphrasing too much. She was pretty skeptical of the notion that the Western County need the idea that we don't have a lot of representation. She was pushing back on that, saying, Germantown, sort of that Germantown's in their area too. So I'm not sure why they're saying they don't get representation. And I was thinking it might be a good idea to send her a note just saying the reason we've been saying this is basically practical experience, that the existing district we have has been pretty much like this for 20 years, more or less. And it includes Bethesda and places south. And we have certainly seen in the past, until Andrew was elected, that we didn't get a lot of attention. And that's just the reality. And it's not because council members don't know we're here. It's because it's a very lightly populated area. It's just a natural aspect of politics. So anyway, it looks like there's going to be a discussion and an adoption of one of those maps on the 20th, and then they will send it to the council. And the council will have public hearings. We may need to participate depending on what the map looks like. But right now, it looks like a lot of what we said was adopted. They are, all three maps have the entire ag reserve except the extreme north and east part of the ag reserve in it. And one of them has all the way to Damascus, which is one of the maps that we proposed. And they all have Germantown in it. So to some degree, they reflected a lot of what we said, but more to come. But I think the October 20th meetings is going to be kind of critical, because that will be the final meeting to adopt a map and then send it to the council. So two other items I just wanted to quickly overview. I sent you guys a draft of the Thrive 2050 master plan comments that I thought might be worthwhile to send. The Thrive 2050 master plan is now at the council. So in order to send comments, they have a link, and you essentially send it to all the council members. So if you guys can get a chance to take a look at that and let me know if you have any concerns. I think I'd like to send some comments in, because I think it's worthwhile. I think what we did already, the initial email that we sent to the different commissioners on the planning commission, had an impact. Casey Anderson's comments, I think, in some ways reflected our points. So it'd be good to reinforce that with those comments. So let me know if you have any objections or thoughts or concerns about the filing. It's pretty much what we said before, but a little more elaboration, and includes quotes from, and Ed, I think you highlighted this, the 2010-2030 Recreation Department plan actually had a footnote that talked about locating facilities in Poolsville, despite the fact that they may not be able to justify it based on population alone. And I think that makes our point, that essentially they use models that are based on density, and we don't have that.
Right.
So anyway, that's in the draft comments that you could get back to me in the next couple of days if you have any thoughts or concerns. I would like to file those. And then the other thing is, there's a transportation department request for comments on the bus system, and essentially the routes for the buses and whether they're adequate or not for your community. I've talked to WUMCO about it, and Katie Longbrake and Terry Bodner, who's the person who runs the WUMCO transportation program. And I drafted up some comments, and they're taking a look at them. And I think they may add some points, especially some more details about how many people we drive and so forth to the doctor. But I'd love to file those comments too. They're due November 1st. And again, part of the rationale for doing all these things is just, the more we do that, the more we establish credibility as a force to be reckoned with, somebody they should listen to. So I don't know if you guys could take a look at those. They're not due to the 1st, so we got some time. And I haven't got any feedback yet from Terry Bodmer, but I expect to get some in the next week. So
she's out of the country.
Yeah.
So
that's what I heard. She sent me an email though, saying she's going to look at it. So
okay.
And finally, in White's Ferry, I don't know anything more. I did get a note from Caleb, the Loudoun County council member, just saying that they will let us know as soon as he knows anything. But I think, Jim, we both asked Carrie or you asked Carrie whether there's any update, and she said she hadn't heard anything. So as far as I know, there's nothing new to report.
No, I think I am going to reach out to our people and ask, start with David Fraziel-Dago and see if there is if he's had any new word on a timeline, and ask him to reach out to the DOT guys, regardless if he knows anything or not, and just see if they say there's any sort of an update.
Okay.
I'll do that right now. Thank you.
Good. Laura, do you want to talk about any media? I think the one thing I did want to mention was the Plenty magazine article came out, and I sent it around. I scanned it in, but it came out. I saw it in actually the CVS, and several stores here have it. So anyway.
Yeah, good
Yeah, no.
article.
Yeah, so thanks for sharing that. You also have on the agenda here the article that was in the Blade that ran late in August. So that was a nice educational background piece specific to White's Ferry. And then we obviously did a lot of social postings coming out of the VIP breakfast at Poolsville Day. And we actually posted some micro videos that actually got some good attention. The videos, seem to get a little bit more attention than some of the photos, but that was good. And we did share photos from that breakfast. So you should have all received access to that.
Yeah.
And we can go and pull that group shot for the holiday card. And then also, given the CIP and other budget related meetings coming up with the BOE and such, I don't know if the committee wants to consider us designing a virtual background. If some of you are thinking about attending virtually, unless you just want to wave your sign if you have one,
That's a good idea.
but that could be quickly done. And actually, one of the posts from last year with Link testifying, I did screenshotted it and put that out on social media, and that got a lot of attention. So keeping that drumbeat going at those meetings is important. And I'm happy to join virtually. However you want to meet, us to support you with that regard, with communicating to the community that you are beating that drum in front of those important decision makers is good. And then also I wanted to flag, just on Tuesday, there was my team accidentally posted a photo of Sustainable Poolsville, an award that was received at MML, the Maryland Municipal League Conference this week. We actually accidentally posted it to the Facebook page of Fair Access Committee. And yes.
That explains it. Okay.
Yeah.
So my apologies.
Now, did you see,
apologized.
I guess you saw David's messenger
Yes.
to us,
Donald.
Donald.
Yeah.
Yes, he posted actually on the Facebook page. He was unhappy that he was unnamed. And
okay.
but the post should not have been on the Fair Access page. So I'm apologizing to this committee for posting it there.
Yeah.
It was taken down immediately and have apologized as well to Mr. Streeter. But just wanted to flag that for you. So you hear it directly from me. Apologies for posting it on the Fair Access page. It should and has been posted to the town's Facebook page.
Okay.
So if you have any questions beyond that, please let me know. It was an innocent error on our part, but I apologize profusely for offending anybody, and certainly any of you as committee members. But that's all I have.
Yeah.
It wasn't upset, just that we were kind of like, what? I don't think we had anything to do with this. I don't believe.
Sorry.
And no more apologies needed. It's okay.
Yeah.
Remember, wasn't the old rule that any publicity is good publicity? I mean, come on.
Well,
So we
there's
go by.
some good conversations happening specific to the planning that you were talking about earlier, the master planning, and beating the drumbeat for the town on behalf of the environmental causes. And, I think it's really relevant as it relates to White's Ferry and protecting of the agricultural reserve. So I think there's some nice synergies broader that will come out of this as well.
Good. We'll take it.
All right.
Link,
Yeah.
just to go back to it. One political note, you guys saw that Nancy Navarro, who's terming out, is thrown in her hat to be the lieutenant governor, along with the former Prince George's County executive.
Mhm.
So that's going to be an interesting sidestep for her, but that definitely means that she was one candidate was considering running for county executive. So she's out if she's doing that. So it still maintains the three candidates that are on board right now: David Blair, Hans, and Mark Elrich. And the other is that I sent this letter out that came from Carrie like an hour ago. That's looking for us to. She sent it just to the commissioners, but if there's nothing in it that's bad, it kind of encompasses what we've already been talking about in terms of redistricting. And Ed, all I'm going to do is ask that she adds fair access to our names and as part of the signature slot too. So it's not just the town commissioners. They're asking for the town commissioners to sign 5 signature spots, and I think we should make sure that they know that fair access has at least reviewed it and has weighed in as well. So you guys can look at it. I've emailed it to all of you. It's a draft letter that they want to put out tomorrow. The county does.
I read it
Feldman's
while
off.
we were meeting. It's a
Yeah.
quick read. And so
Yeah.
It's, and I had to do a double take at it though, but bullet item number 2, when you get to it, it talks about not splitting up certain areas. I think that's real important.
Yeah, that's what we said in our comments. Yeah.
So,
So it's more of the same essentially. And I'm going to reply back to Carrie that, the Fair Access Committee at least talked about it, and, we concur with the text of the letter.
Who's asking to have it sent, Jim?
So it was sent out from Carrie, circulated to the commissioners at 6:18, and she got it from Andrew Sondry, who's wone of the aides for Brian Feldman.
Oh,
And-
okay.
We know Andrew. We've met him and talked to him.
Yeah.
And she got that. I'm not sure what time it came over to her earlier today, but they just want us to see if we,
she got it at 6 o'clock.
6:07. So it was, she
Yeah.
turned it around just as quickly as.
That's fresh.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So anyway, it looks like that's what we got. So,
That sounds good. Sounds useful.
yep. Let's hope it does something.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Good.
Anything else anybody's got for the good of the cause? I appreciate all your input. You have some good ideas here, and I'll certainly follow up on them. So,
And Link, I want to meet up in the next couple of days. I thought I was going to be away, but I'm going to be here. So I'll get with you.
okay.
All right.
Thank
All right.
Talk to you later. Talk to you later.
Wait.
Hey.
We got to have a motion to adjourn, Link. Come
Oh,
on.
yeah, that's right. Okay. Motion to adjourn, please.
I'd like to make a motion. We adjourn the Fair Access Committee meeting for Thursday, the 14th of October.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. See you guys later. Thanks
All right,
for your
guys.
help.
Link, great job. You kept us within the time frame at 7:25. Way to stick to business.
Yep.
Thanks for
All
the
right.
input, though. It was really helpful. So,
No problem.
thanks.
All right, catch you all later.
All right,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye.
Later. Yeah. Bye.